Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Hart. I'm the online editor of Labels and Labeling magazine. And today I am here with Nicole Rivera as part of our Young Manager series. So hello, Nicole.
Hi, Jordan. How are you?
I'm thriving. How are you?
I am doing great as well. Thank you. In the midst of quarantine.
Amen.
Just living life.
And a note to our audience, if you happen to hear anybody snoring, we are both obviously very attentive here, but we do have a tiny furry guest off camera. So
Yes.
she's part of the experience today. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself as what you do, what company you're with, and what your company does?
Sure. My name is Nicole Rivera. I work with K-Laser Technology, a cold foil supplier. Been here for about 3.5 years and just learning so much about labeling. It's incredible how vast this industry is.
Yeah, definitely a lot to learn.
So much.
So what was your journey to getting into the labeling industry?
So starting off in college, I was kind of more stereotypical, didn't really know what they wanted to do, just kind of felt like college was where you go after high school, and kind of decided to do more of a vague major in business, because how can you go wrong with that? Coming out of college, I'd gotten this job as an account manager at a college apparel company, which I loved, and I moved up the ranks there. And there, it wasn't until I kind of realized what I wanted to do, which was actually more in logistics. So much so that I got my master's degree in global supply chain management. And then at the same time, I started my job here.
How exciting. So you work with your dad, don't you?
Correct. Yes. He's my boss.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic, for sure.
Yeah. Was there any pressure to kind of follow in his footsteps, or was it a coincidence, or how did that come about?
Not so much pressure, but since he had been in this industry for so long, like 15, 20 years, something wild like that, I had always known something about this industry. It didn't always come together for me, but we would help him out because he travels, he worked from home. So we'd help him out with little things here and there, hey, Dad, I really would like a new camera, for example. And he'd be like, here's a pile of papers and get to work. And once you're done, we'll go get the camera. So I kind of knew some things. Our company is actually an Asian company based out of Taiwan. And within that culture, if you start a company or even work for a company, you want to pass it down. So you want to pass it to your sons, your daughters, niece, nephew, brothers, sisters, whatever the case may be. So he really wanted to go within that route of the culture. So I have 2 brothers, one older, one younger. And I think he envisioned for some time to eventually pass this down to one of us. With that being said, when he started the East Coast facility in Florida, my brother had actually come with him when we moved from Pennsylvania. And he'd worked here for about 7 or 8 years. And my dad, I think, was starting to groom him to take over eventually when he decides to retire. Turned out really wasn't for him. In the back of his mind, I think he knew he always wanted me to work for K-Laser with him. At the time, I was working at my old job, and not in vain by any means, but just to kind of see how another company operates. So then eventually, if maybe I start working here, I could take that knowledge and transfer it here, which is what happened. So I started here, like I said, about 3.5 years ago, with the goal to kind of be able to increase the amount of capacity and everything you need to increase sales. So it kind of was more of a coincidence, more of a hopeful thing, I think, for my dad that I started here and starting K-Laser. I can tell you he's very happy. He's very thrilled that I'm here and I'm still here.
Stuck around.
I'm sticking around. But the agreement was once I started here, I'd really be here for many years. Yeah.
And so you've been in for 3 years now?
Mm-hmm.
And infinitely more to go.
Yes, for sure. I mean, the 3 years, they fly by, to be honest. They're so fast. And, we have so many things on our plate and so many things that we're waiting to unveil in the midst of this pandemic. But I'm excited. There's so much to learn, and it's been kind of a weird, passionate thing for me. I've become a label nerd. Going down the grocery store aisle and just looking at labels, not even looking at the product, but just looking at the labels and getting inspiration for samples that we might do or things we might put online or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, what did you start the company as, like position wise, and what are you at now? Has that changed?
It's the same position. So it's Director of Administration Operations. And it's such a vague title because I feel like I cover so many things. But the way that we've kind of set it up in the last couple of years is every year we kind of have a different focus. So the first focus for me was operations, upgrading making things more efficient for us, including lean ideas, Six Sigma ideas, just reworking our processes and making ourselves better. Then came the administration, actually like even writing things down. Then last year it was logistics. And then this year we're rebranding. So I've been kind of knee deep in marketing, which has been a really interesting eye opener for me because it's not really my forte. So I've learned a lot on the fly with that.
So you got your MBA. Was that during your time at Nicoles or was that before?
It was during. It was actually, I started here in October and I started my MBA in December.
Okay.
Yeah. So not much downtime.
No, very busy lady.
It was really busy. Yeah. And I just finished it a year ago, last March. So
congratulations.
Now I have so much time on my hands, I don't know what to do with it.
Well, now you have a dog, so you can go on a lot of walks.
And now I have a dog. Exactly. Yep.
So you are, in fact, a young person in the industry. Let's talk a little bit about what that experience has been like for you, because I know it can be a bit of a looming, intimidating industry.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, just a newbie stepping into this industry, it's incredibly intimidating. I feel like though, when you're we're on the supplier end, so we're really focused on really one thing, which is cold foil. And that is enough to kind of keep you guessing and educating for quite a bit amount of time. But once I was able to kind of step out of this kind of bubble, as I'll put it, for example, going to Label Expo, my jaw was on the floor. Like, how is all of this just to print a label? It's insane. But I'm learning, and there's so many things to learn, and no situation's ever the same. I mean, I remember the day I figured out what a substrate was. I was like, oh my God, that's the paper.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself. So it's just like those little nuances there, and kind of tying back to, being young and having my dad in this industry. It's now really coming full circle. So when he starts talking about analogs and substrates and this, and I'm like,
you're like, I get it what all of those are.
I get it now. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay. So it's been a wild ride. Now, as far as the people in the industry, they have been nothing but warm and welcoming. Even the veterans, I mean, they're so eager to just teach you, which is so nice. Like they don't want to hold things to their chest. I think they realize that, they have to pass on to the next generation, which would be us. And they need to teach us so we can, as much as they left their legacy in the industry, that we want to leave ours.
Yeah. And I think having your father in the industry, that does kind of have an informal mentorship aspect to it. I mean, obviously he's your dad, but you're kind of always on the periphery of growing up with this.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a unique position, I feel like, that I'm in, that I do have him as a huge mentor and several other people on our team that have been in the industry for a long, long time. But, he's friends with many people in the industry. So, of course, he wants to introduce me. He's so proud that his daughter's in industry with him. So I do have, his network of people as well as creating my own network within our generation. So it's a really unique spot that I'm in that to not take advantage of would be foolish.
Yeah.
For sure.
So were there any aspects of the industry that intimidated you coming in?
I think just the vast amount of information.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk into a converter, printer, or even Label Expo, and you see these giant presses that look like a train. And you're like, how does this work? And in reality, it's very comparable to just a desktop printer, So when you kind of put it in terms like that, it's way less intimidating. When you start learning and kind of going forward and putting all the pieces together, it definitely makes more sense. But it can be rough, I feel like, for someone who's brand new coming into this.
Well, there's all the jargon of the industry and that kind of stuff.
For sure. Yeah. And you have to learn all that and don't say the wrong word and the label and a sticker for learn that the hard way. But I mean, it's fun. Like I said, everyone's willing to teach, and as long as you're willing to learn, you'll be all right.
Yeah. I remember one of my first weeks as an intern very sheepishly approaching my boss and being like, "Excuse me, what is a supplier?" And look at how far we've come.
That's right. Yeah. So, I mean, you learn a lot. And I think the great part is if you don't really realize how much you're learning until you start having the conversations and you're like, oh, wait, that is now.
Yeah, you take that step back and you're like, I know what everything is now.
Yeah.
So accomplished. Okay. So what is your favorite part of your job? I feel like we don't hype up label industry jobs enough.
I think for me, it's just being able to learn. I mean, like I said, I wear so many hats that it's hard to really pick a favorite part. But actually right now, like marketing's really been my baby. And I'm kind of falling in love with it a little bit. I mean, my passion really is more operations. And that's why I feel like I kind of thrive in. But now that I've kind of moved out of that into marketing, it's more creative, which is a little bit scary for me because I'm very much, a math person rather than, an English person. No, 2 + 2 is always going to be 4. But this label might always look good with this thing on it, So it's a little bit more challenging for me, which is what I like. And just learning about the different aspects of it and like what's drawing people's eyes and how to get this message across to the customer and the end user and how to also put that with our customers, the converters. And it's interesting. It's a really cool little project I have.
So do you know what your next focus is going to be if it's changing every year?
I don't know. We're actually spending so much time in marketing. I think it might take up 2 years. But I think
it though.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad about it. I mean, I feel like the marketing was actually supposed to be last year, but because of the pandemic and the trade shows, and typically when we rebrand, we unveil it at Label Expo. So it kind of did get pushed back quite a bit, and I feel like we're almost kind of not like rushing through, but really trying to catch up a little bit because we did have spent an extra amount of time in our focuses last year. So I think next year we're probably going to stay within marketing, but kind of really tune it up a little bit and perfect it and make sure we're good to go for Label Expo. I'm very excited. I'm so excited to go back to Label Expo. I can't even say.
I think we all are. Oh my gosh. Shows and people and labels, it's all going to be all good things.
So exciting.
Well, thank you for sitting down with me today, Nicole. It was so lovely to get to shine a spotlight on you for our label and labeling
Yes,
audience.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to chat with you.
Of course. And we look forward to seeing you at a Label Expo soon.
Yes, for sure. Count me in.